All right, ladies, come join me in the living room. It's time to become authentic. It's time to learn how to be yourself. It's time to put you first. Let's go.
Return home to yourself. This is your space to reconnect, to realign, and to embrace the fullness of who you are. Welcome to the Return Home podcast, where we're diving deep into all things womanhood. Unfiltered, honest, and empowering. Let's get into it.
All right, start.
What's new?
What's been going on? We need counseling.
Yeah. So I feel like the biggest hurdle that I've been going over in the last week is that the closer that I get to goals that I've set for myself and that I'm actually achieving, the more my ego is showing up and reminding me of my fears, my insecurities, telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not ready enough. And I'm actually trying to feel what's coming up for me. Why are these being said to me? And sometimes I just need a moment to cry. Sometimes I just need to slow down and let the emotion be felt. And I'm like, what is this funk? What is this like depressive mindset that I've had? And this whole week I have like so many exciting things happening. I'm recording a podcast, which is on my bucket list to do. So why am I not excited? I'm doing my workshop on Saturday that I set the goal for. And it's like that reality is happening. I created this. I've manifested this. And this whole week, I'm in this just low negative frame of mind. And it's all just fear. It's all just seeing myself on camera and being disappointed. And all of those things are coming up and I'm trying to turn it around and say a positive thing and it just like doesn't even feel good.
You need to slow down because right now is the perfect time to sit back and reflect and be grateful for all of the things that you've done up to this point. Stop for a second and be grateful for all of the women that you were that led you to this point of who you are now and who you're about to become.
I'm shifting into my 31st year of life. I'm in this like toss of how do I even want to dress? How do I even want to express myself? Like even this outfit that I'm wearing, like, yeah, it looks good. It's modern and trendy. But when I'm like online shopping, this isn't what I look at. I look at floral. Everything that I want is floral and like flowers. And that's what I want to wear. But then I put it on and I'm like, what is that? I can't wear this. What? I feel so like in this. I don't even know the word. Like maybe you have the word because I have no idea what's happening.
My word is welcome to your 30s, girl. Because this, especially the beginning of your 30s, is
Yes.
a whole different world of just life. It is really the 30s is your midlife. And when you get to your 30s, you've done the work. You have your boundaries, you have your goals set in mind. It's all new. It almost feels like you're starting over again because you're starting fresh. This is a fresh start for you to become the woman that you want to be that's going to take you on to the rest of the journey through womanhood. Sometimes that's hard to sit back and reflect because you're like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? Old Navy is not cutting it for these clothes anymore.
Yeah. And almost sometimes it feels better to sit in the negative or to sit in my ego and tell myself these sob stories, or it's almost maybe trying to get me out of doing the uncomfortable. Yeah. I literally have no explanation. I'm like, what? All I can say is like, what in the actual fuck is happening? I have no explanation for any of it. So it definitely feels better to be around you guys today, and that getting here today and being
And we
in
can
the
uplift you.
presence of you guys.
It is funny when women turn 30. I know it was me at 30. I woke up one day, I saw a picture of myself and I let myself go. And I went, oh, what is this? I felt like I had let myself go for a good thing, take care of my home, my children, which was very important. But so many times we let ourselves go to a point where we've neglected ourselves really bad. And I saw myself going downhill and went, oh, this is not going to happen. Actually, the epiphany I had was I was at a doctor's office and I was filling out, you had to fill out questions. And the one question it said was, what's your hobby? And I went to write hairdresser and I went, that's not a hobby. That's my job. I don't have a hobby. I didn't have anything for myself anymore. And that's when I started reflecting. I'm just a mom, a taxi driver, a chef. You cook, you clean, and you're doing all these things and you're going, I'm nobody. And then you start making changes. And my 30s were the greatest years ever. The greatest. And it's almost like every decade, though, you do change. 30s are so good because you are when you're in 20s, you're making young decisions. You hit your 30s, you go, man, this is great. I've loved turning 30, 40, 50 now. I'm still enjoying my years.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like you create something new every 10 years. And if you're
Yeah.
not, then
Something's wrong.
yeah,
Really.
that's a problem. Nobody in their 40s is the same as they were in their 20s.
No, if they are,
So
that's a problem.
or sometimes they go back to their 20s because they didn't get to live their 20s the way they wanted to.
That
And that's
happens.
okay too.
Yes.
But they're still different. And
Yeah.
you do go through different things. If you had kids young, you were a mom young, then you're going through that. 30s might be liberating. That's where I felt I had Soph at 24. I became the mom, the wife. We opened a business. I had to be the businesswoman. I had to learn all these new things. And it's just been in the last year where I've been like, okay, everything is now good. My kids are good. The business is good. My husband is good. It's time to focus on me. Take a step back, find your hobbies, find what makes you you, find what you don't like, and focus on changing that because once you start changing that aspect, everything else starts rolling into play anyway. But it is hard to focus at first when you're getting into your 30s of what is this new world coming, and especially where you're at. You're going through a huge change. Your total focus now is going to be family and husband and now a new career and this new journey that you have, and finding your way in it's going to be a little hard at first, but through the whole process you just have to be grateful of who you were and where you came from and where you're going, and that's what matters.
Yeah, it's like disorienting sometimes to sit in the unknown. Like I have goals, I have this vision, or I'm preparing, but we also have to surrender to that unknown as well. And that's where it feels so uncomfortable. And just doing it for the first time truly in my life, I've known this concept and I've known the reality of stepping into this role is to surrender to the unknown. And even despite the uncomfortability, still choosing to do it.
Yeah.
And still choosing to show up today. Like this morning, I'm like, how am I even going to record this right now? Because my mind was in a darkness. My mind was telling me all of these fears. And so I cried. I sat for a while, I ate my breakfast, and then I showered and I put myself together and I brought myself here. And just the moment of being in this presence with you two, I'm like, okay, here. This is where I'm
This is where you need
supposed to
to be.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think sometimes too, I've noticed with myself, if I'm getting to a point where I'm like becoming a new person, and at some times you kind of step back and you're like, who do you think you are? Then when you actually sit back and think about who do you think you are?
Mhm.
I have been all of these things through my whole life. I'm just actually taking the courageous step right now to show everyone else exactly who I am.
Right.
Because as you're discovering yourself, you tend to be a little timid or quiet in who you are. You're not showing all of your true
Right.
colors. But once you hit 30, you're like, I'll show exactly who I am
Yes.
to everybody. And this is it, because you have created that. That's who you've been creating this whole time through this whole journey, is exactly who you are today. And there's no reason to be afraid of it or
again feel judged about it. That's the biggest thing is, what are they going to think? I've never been this way. What are they going to think? I've never done these things. Who cares
Who
what they think?
cares? Right.
They're either going to accept it, and if they don't, then they don't see it you when you're 40. They don't see how great
Right.
you've become through those years. And that's just part of the life's journey too, is becoming greater and greater every year and becoming more of yourself every year, because that's the most important thing, is to actually become exactly who you want to be. Because at the end of the day, am I happy with who I am? Am I happy with where I am? Am I happy with what I'm doing? Because the people that are judging are the ones that aren't.
That's it. I look back when I first started running, and I remember wanting just to run a 5K and go to the gym every day, and you'd run. I'd run a mile, and I'm like, oh, I got to a mile. Then you'd push yourself, you get to a mile and a half, and then finally, eventually, you get to that 3 mile. And it took me, I think, 2 years to try to get 3 miles in. And then I remember running that first 5K, and I crossed the line. I said, I'm going to run a marathon. And Scott said the best thing he could have ever said. It would, you'll never do that. And I proved it. And I ran 3 in 1 year. I'll prove you.
I actually didn't know that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, people sit there and doubted you, and then people think you're crazy. But then people now will say, remember when you were running all those marathons and all those races? And those were great moments, because you get your headphones on and you just block the world out, and you can be selfish. And it's okay. And that's what I try to tell a lot of women. Because in your 30s, you're going to be selfish now, and you have every right. Someone said to me, she was an older lady that was a good friend of mine, and, we were struggling financially and everything. I think I must have been saying about wanting to buy a pair of shoes or something, and I just couldn't do it. And she said, if you don't take care of you, nobody will. And I thought, what? But that resonated and that stuck with me, and I won't ever forget it.
I'm just dying laughing because now her closet is
And now
filled with shoes.
closet's full of shoes.
Well, I think, and so many people are going through different journeys too. You've gotten the opportunity to actually be and
Buy the
create
shoes.
yourself.
You
Yeah,
can
you've
buy
got the
those
opportunity
shoes.
to buy all the shoes you want,
Yes.
and now you're creating life of family and
Yeah.
kids and this whole new journey. And sometimes you want to probably crawl back to the easy way of what you used to do, being able to just take care of yourself. And now you actually have the mindset to still prioritize yourself because you've already built that. Stay focused on taking care of yourself through this whole process, and don't limit yourself. We always put limits on ourselves, and we always keep moving the goalpost. That's what I've always noticed with me. My goal is to lose this much weight. I realized, I was like, I lost 20 pounds. Hold on a second. That's crazy. I never thought. I usually lose 5, gain 10. I'm like, I actually lost 20 pounds. But then like the next day, I'm like, I got 20 more to go. I couldn't even sit in the happiness. And honestly, I lost the 20, and I stayed there for probably like 3 months. And every time I got on the scale, I would go to be like, why haven't I lost a single pound? I'm like, because you haven't enjoyed it yet. You haven't sat back and been thankful and been grateful for the 20 you've lost. Look at yourself and tell yourself you look amazing, and then the rest will fall off in due time. Keep putting in the work. What have you been wanting for so long? To get a new house, to move, and now your husband's doing it, and you're sitting over here worried about all these things. You have an amazing husband that you can sit back and just let him lead.
Yes.
You've been the leader of your life
Yes.
for so long. Sit back and let him do his job.
Yeah, and that's probably the reason my ego.
Yeah.
Letting go of that control.
Yeah. It's like-
Yeah.
and so I need to remain positive throughout this, but boy, is my ego coming in strong
Yeah.
this week as I'm reaching a level that I've set for myself.
Yeah.
And so it's that reminder to come in and be grateful for the amazing things that are happening this week in my life.
Because if we're not going to be grateful as the things happen, when do you start becoming grateful?
Yeah.
Do I really think I'm going to be that grateful when, when I meet my actual goal weight? No, I'm probably going to look at myself and be like, well, I could probably lose another 5, or this is a
Right.
little flabby, or this is a little loose, or what. It's always going to be something else. So if we're not going to step back and be our own biggest cheerleaders, nobody else is going to do it for us. So we have to sit back and take that time.
I find that with women, and this is one thing I keep encouraging women to do now, is we tend to feel selfish when we look in the mirror and say, you're beautiful. We've been brainwashed and taught you can't do that. You're thinking too much of yourself.
Yeah.
But learning to be selfish in doing that is speaking those things that are grateful. I'm grateful I've lost the 20 pounds. I look amazing. No, you're not where you want to be. We're never going to be where we want to be. We're always having to change and do things different. But for women, it's just hard to look and say those positive things. You're strong, you're beautiful, you're brave, because we don't feel those things. And then we're taught you can't think that way of yourself. So if we can encourage women at any age, and especially as young girls, to look in the mirror, so what if you've got that pimple? You're beautiful. And learn to do those when we're young. I just find women have a hard time being selfish with that.
I think any of this is selfish. I think
No,
It's
it's
not
not.
selfish.
That's
No.
I think
bad
that's
word.
the label that's being put on these
That's what
things,
society
but
puts
it's
on.
like it's not selfish.
No, it's not.
It's just allowing space
Mhm.
for acceptance, for love.
Yeah.
And when we actually do those things, the society or whatever belief system we've created
Uh-huh.
has said, oh yeah, that's selfish to do that. It's selfish not to do that. Like, that's your own belief system.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it's actually just inviting in more love.
True. That's true. That's the best way to
And
put it.
patience.
It is true that you have to stop putting the label on the word is selfish, because
Yep.
the things that we're doing for ourselves are not selfish. For everyone else, it's called self-love. Men need their space and kids need their time. But women, we're just supposed to run around and do everything everyone
Mhm.
else needs. So give ourselves that space, that time, and what we need in that moment. But knowing what I need and vocalizing that with the other people that I live with and spend my time with, just like you did this morning. Guys, I need more time. Okay. Be able to vocalize that.
Well, I feel like you've been in the process of letting go of a lot of responsibility
I was
that
going to
you've
say,
taken on.
if you go into talking about the unknown, my whole life has been me always wanting to be or having to be in control of things, having to act a certain way, growing up fast or taking on responsibilities that I wasn't ready for, but succeeding in those. Now I've come to the place of giving that control. I want to give it away. I don't even want to be in that control anymore. And being able to step out of that control has been so freeing. My biggest thing through my journey is to be able to find self-love for myself and realize that now it's your time to step back and really find yourself in what you want to do. And I've come away from the selfish. It's not selfish anymore, just like you said.
Right.
I'm not being selfish. Everyone gets their time, everyone gets to do what they want. And now I am. And coming through the healing journey of, I think, being able to stop relying on other people to love me and give me this affection that I feel like I'm fighting for. Now it's not. It's not a fight. You're the only person that actually needs to love yourself.
Mhm.
Everyone else will once you do. So I truthfully think healing from those things have let me lose the 20 pounds that I've lost. It's like I've like lost part of myself because I didn't need that part anymore. I don't need to be my own safety anymore. I don't need to hold on to protecting myself and being the one that does it all and being the one that wants to fight for myself. Well, hold on, you're not the one that's responsible for your safety anymore. Let your husband do that. Let him make the decisions. And if you still don't feel safe, then that's something you need to bring up with him. And those are things that we've talked about. When I'm going through stuff, I'm like, oh, that conversation just doesn't make me feel safe or loved. So I'm gonna walk away from it. And when you're ready to give me those things, then we'll talk again. And there's more. There's so much more to that experience. I think I've also let go of obviously a lot of childhood trauma, I guess you would say, being able to get rid of hate that's in my life towards other people that again, you only hate and resent people when you want something from them.
That's good. Hmm.
If I didn't care about you or if I didn't need something from you, then I wouldn't, what's the point of being mad at somebody you don't want or need? But now being able to be like, you know what? I don't need anything from you or I don't want anything from you. I have it all here, but the boundaries are set. My heart is pure and I don't have room for hate and anger towards anyone else in my life, no matter who it is.
Yeah, because you didn't, it's not like you've had some like strict diet or strict workout plan. Like you've been doing
Right.
yoga
You gotta be
and
consistent.
things like that consistently, but
Mhm.
it's not like you've been really stressing yourself out at the gym
Yeah.
or eating, 6 meals a day with 25 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Right.
I try to work out every day. If I miss a day, it is what it is. I don't track any kind of food. I've just changed a little bit of, you know what to eat. Everyone knows what's healthy and what's not.
Right.
That's all simple. It is the inner work that you have to do.
Mm.
I remember a year ago, I was at the gym with Joe and I like did a good workout. I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in the sauna and I did a little bit of breath work and I just really searched deep. And it honestly, it almost came so easy because I was able to just cry. I don't cry. So I sat there for 15 minutes and I cried and I spoke to myself of release it all, release the hate, release the anger, release the restrictions.
Mhm.
Why do you have so many restrictions on yourself? Walk into that unknown. The unknown can be amazing. You don't know what you're walking into. I always told Joe, I'm like, I don't know, like he always has these dreams and aspirations and he can lay them all out and it would almost bother me. Like he'd come to me and have all these dreams and I'm like, why are you talking to me about stuff that ain't coming true? Like, why do you talk like that? Why? And then I sat back and actually like that same week, I was like, I want to open this company. And I started going in on it and it never even turned out to anything. But I spent like 3 weeks thinking about this from start to finish, how I would plan this. I made calls. And like I said, it never turned out, but I learned to dream.
Right.
I never had aspirations. It was always what am I going to do next to make sure that I'm living and surviving? But I was like, I can actually sit back and dream. I have these goals now that I want to meet, and I have these aspirations, and it's okay if they never come true.
Right.
It's okay if they never leave just your thoughts and minds or a conversation over a drink. It's okay if they never get any further than that. But to actually be able to think outside will actually push you to the next level of where you want to be.
Mhm.
Well, I remember you telling me that as a child that I don't make dreams. I don't dream. I don't know what age we were, but I remember you telling me because obviously I'm like
Yeah.
dreaming all the time and creating things that never happen. And I'm like always okay with that. But yeah, I remember you telling me that and like what does that stem from? What does that
It stems from my dreams always got shut down. I wanted to be a yoga instructor. Oh, that's not part of our religion. Let's not do that. I want to shoot, I couldn't even remember the things that I wanted to do or that ain't gonna make money. That's not gonna do, that's not gonna be a lifelong job or that's a lot of hours, that's a lot of schooling. No matter what I came up with, it was like that's not achievable. So then you settle, okay, I won't be a yoga instructor. I'm just a personal trainer. Okay, I'm not going to be a lawyer. I went to school to be a paralegal. I'm not doing any of that. Guess what? That's what the fuck I do all the time. I make contracts
Right.
and then I want to own a business. You'll never do that. Now I own a business. It's, when you get shut down so many times, you just stop saying that you're going to do anything else. You're just like, you know what? Yeah. And then you become stuck and going with emotions. And that's where I always say you do need time to reflect back, because now that I look back on it, it's like, no, I didn't ever became any of those things, but at the same time, I became all of
All
those
those
things.
things. That's what I was going to say.
I
You
became,
did all,
I
you
did,
got
yeah.
to do all kinds of stuff.
I think I used to say I'm not a dreamer, I'm a doer, which is exactly what I am, because
Yeah.
my dreams are probably so ridiculous that I just try to do something with them. Like, I thought I was going to be a professional UFC fighter.
Right.
I didn't do that, but I did do an amateur kickboxing fight. So it's like, you know, but that's okay. It's okay that the dream didn't come to exactly where you wanted it to be.
Got a great story, because you can sit here and go, well, I did this. Who cares how far it goes? I did this. I can say I ran, 5 marathons and a ton of races, and bodybuilding and powerlifting, and was a good mom.
Yeah.
You did all of the things.
And sometimes those people that tell you those things, like, it was okay, because if you may have went to school and done these things and maybe wasted money on college, like, maybe it wasn't really for you. So like, it's okay that those things were said. How they ended up playing in your life now,
Yeah.
you actually doing contracts and doing all of those things all
Yeah.
the time, like, that desire was still in your body, that
Yeah.
desire was still in your mind,
Yeah.
and it unfolded the way it needed to unfold.
Yeah.
Like, I think about that. I remember when you went with me to teach hair to that
Oh
school
my God.
for girls that
Yes.
were basically in like a transition kind of home, and
Yes.
they maybe didn't have like good parents or whatnot. So that it was like a career thing, and they asked me to come talk about hair for the girls.
forgot.
And I stood in front of this class and spoke to all these girls about hair. I also spoke at a woman's conference at church 10 years ago. And neither of those things resonate with me right now, but here I am on Saturday going to be teaching in front of this whole class at a
Right.
workshop for my next thing that I want to do. And so
Your next
all of
job.
this life and all of this experience that we're in is just preparing us for the journey.
Yeah.
Like, I may in 10 years be like, oh my goodness, I spoke at a workshop for German New Medicine,
Yeah.
and I might not even be doing it in 10 years, but it's there preparing you, and you just have to allow yourself to have those dreams and those visions,
Mm-hmm.
because it's preparing you for just
Yeah.
the whole experience of life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was even joking with the girls the other day when I was editing, and I was like, I love doing this. I was like, when I was a kid, I made PowerPoints and I wanted to show everyone my PowerPoint.
And now
Obviously,
I-
this is completely, different, but at the same time, it's just getting a knack for those kind of things. And I was like, who would have known that 13-year-old Ashley making PowerPoints about absolutely nothing,
Right.
whatever I wanted to create that day, would end up becoming a creator. Like, all of these things that you end up dabbling in, they do play a role in who you become.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And if you don't do it,
Yeah.
you're never going to be able to figure out who you were supposed to become,
Yep.
who you were supposed to be.
Yep.
So you just have to do it.
It is fun to know that you've been so many women before. This is all of those women, all of those stages of life that you've been have led you to who you are. And some people still remember you as that same person, and that's okay. If they could see you now or do see you now, they're like, oh wow, I remember when she was just teaching classes in her basement.
Right.
And now she's hosting a podcast. It's just full circle. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah. It's a really good reminder for myself as I transition out of my career the last 10 years and actually leaving behind doing hair and becoming this new person that I've been dreaming of
Yeah.
for, I would say, maybe 3 years. I've been desiring to fulfill my passion of holistic health, and it has transitioned to obviously German New Medicine, but to really fully leave behind the known, this great income, but a soul sucking job at this point for myself, and to leave it behind and to make space for this new career and allow that to just be like, this was a part of me. I did enjoy doing hair for people. I enjoyed making them feel better about themselves and to spend time with people. But the repetitiveness of doing hair has taken my energy, and I no longer want to do that. And so as I transition out of that, just letting it be in the past and being just a version of myself
Yeah.
and being okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's a good reminder.
I think it's so hard to sometimes, it feels like leaving that person behind. Like, oh, she's here, she's created this stuff. Do I just, leave that whole person that I've created and become something new? And it's like, no, it's just a shift in who you are. You're doing something different, but you're exactly the same person. You're just doing everything differently. And it's okay to leave those things behind when they're needed. I remember working as physical therapy assistant, and I was done. I was like, I cannot work for anyone anymore. These people are crazy. I called Joe at like lunchtime and I was like, I can't do it anymore. And he said, just quit. And I literally went in there, gave him my key, and I quit that day. And I said, I'm not coming back. I'm not giving it 2 weeks. I literally knew, I was like, I'm never working a corporate job a day in my life. So I'm out. The guy that I worked for that I did love, he was like, I'm like, this is my last day. As we're like walking out the door, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm never coming back to this place ever again. Love you, peace. And sometimes you got to say that to your own self. Love you,
Yes.
peace, girl.
Yeah.
But this is a new journey for us, and
Yeah.
I'm here to make our life great, and we're going to continue on
Yeah.
to be greater.
Mm.
So
If you don't make those, sometimes you don't make those changes, you're not, nothing but the thing that's coming right behind it that's better.
yeah,
We stop
Yeah.
because we're so afraid of what if. I'm not going to make enough money. We're not going to pay the bills. And it was the best thing Joe could have said. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
yeah,
And
'Cause it
then
always
the
works
bills do get
Then
paid.
nothing
else
More
ever
money
stops.
comes in.
Yes.
And that's truly how God works. Like
Yep.
when you take that leap for yourself, more money comes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I am able to make more money doing German New Medicine than I am doing hair because I took that leap. And so now
Mhm.
being able to create more time to do it full time, imagine I will make more money
yeah,
doing what I'm
And doing what you
passionate
love.
about now. I
Yeah.
was once passionate about hair,
Yep.
yeah,
but I no longer am. So
Yeah.
taking the leap of faith and saying, okay, I trust that this is going to work out for my good.
yeah.
Mhm.
And when it does, center back into that
Well,
gratitude.
women have such great intuition. If we would just listen to that, when it's saying quit the job, that's what you're supposed to do, and let all
And
the
it's
fear
for
and doubt go
everybody.
away.
Yeah.
It's for everybody.
The universe pulls
Yeah.
you in exactly which way you're supposed to go.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. I think
Listen
that
to it.
too I'm just going to say it, but for children that aren't thriving in school.
oh,
Like
absolutely.
for me, I was 13 years old beginning my journey in the beauty industry, sitting in the standard school system, not succeeding. I hated it. But that era, it would have been so
Frowned upon.
to take me out of school. But now, as we enter, a new era and new generation of people like willing to step out and do something that you might be judged for, our children need to know, like, hey, if this is not what you truly love doing 8 hours a day, you don't
Mhm.
have to go there. There
Yeah.
are alternatives.
Yeah.
And I think welcoming that to our society is the way forward.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
not only for children, but for men in their careers where they feel like I can't leave this job because I have great benefits and I have a great pension and it's supplying my family, but your life force is being completely sucked out of you, trust yourself
Yeah.
to move forward and to take on a different job when it seems like, how am I going to provide, or how am I going to have the benefits to take care of my family? Like, trust God that it will be supplied to you. We don't have to just suffer. We don't have to every day, I have to suffer for this job because, well, I make this amount of money.
Yep.
Take a chance on yourself
Yeah.
and trust God, and it will happen, and it will probably be even
Way
greater
better.
than you've even imagined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When literally in 2019, we worked for a company doing the same thing we do now. They didn't want to do it anymore. They were like, this isn't lucrative enough. We don't want to, we don't want to go any further. They offered Joe a position at a store. And because he was too scared or, wasn't sure what was going to happen, he was like, all right, I'm going to take the position at the store, but we're still going to do what we're doing on our own. And I'm like, okay, how are we going to do that? And then the pandemic started and it was like perfect timing. Stores were shut down and he like started to panic. And I go, what are you panicking for? I go, this is proof that this is about to be the greatest year of our life. First year took off, did amazing. One of the best years, and we've only expanded from there. And it's like sometimes if you aren't willing to take the step, the universe is going to force you into it.
Yes.
So you better you can either take it right away or you can get it pushed upon you. Either way, you got to learn to make it work, and it will.
Yeah,
It will.
does. Well, in 3 words, how did this teach us to return home? Okay, 3 words is too hard. What did we learn?
To listen to yourself.
Oh, I got 3 words. Dream your dream.
That's good.
Dream big, be grateful.
And listen to yourself.
And even when it feels like you're a little depressed, go find your family, go find your loved ones.
Return home to us.
Return home.
And you guys are going to return home next Friday because that will be our next show, and we can't wait to see you there. We're all just finding our way back to ourselves, one honest conversation at a time. Catch you next time on the Return Home